Hey, so this evening I'm going to continue on making the file system session tests and implementing them. So last time we got as far as when an aggregate is saved and commit is called. We got that passing. So that's that one. So when loading an aggregate saved in the current session, what is this testing? So we change the state of something, save it, and then when we load we should get the same thing back. Okay, so we're checking that we can read pending events from the session. So what we shall do, break that. Quite surprised that compiled, to be honest. Well, let's see if it passes. I suspect not. Yep. Expect it's because I'm not actually using anything. Yeah, because we're not actually looking anywhere for the in-memory session stuff. We're only pulling from the disk. So let's try and implement this. So what do? We get the path for it, and then we read lines. Now, the other implementation of this how does that handle it? We create a list of events. Get them off the file system, and if there's any new ones, yeah, okay. We can use roughly the same logic to implement it here. So this is reading it off the file system. Let's just say var fs events, and then we'll say var pending events. Oh, no, let's call them session events actually. Pending contains Now, this is an array, but we don't actually need an array anymore. I end up with a list again. So that's an enumerable. Yeah, so let's use contains key. So we'll put the aggregate ID in there. So if it contains the key, pending events, aggregate ID. Otherwise, enumerable empty of event. Var events equals fs events concat session events. To array. And I believe that I changed to be an enumerable, so we don't need to have a to list on the end of that. Right, so now find the ones off disk. Then if there's new events, append those. If there weren't any on disk, we'll have an empty enumerable here. And thus, if there are only in-memory ones, then we will get just the in-memory ones. Turn them into a single array of that. If there weren't any events, throw the exception, otherwise build the aggregate and return it. Yeah, that should work. Run, or is it thinking about running? Or is it just not doing anything? Well, that's weird. Check we are reading the right thing, so we create a new toggle. We'll save on it. Assuming it's got pending events, we shall add them there. I wonder, that create a new array? I wonder if clearing them is what causes that. No, because we add the range, so they're being added into a new collection anyway. So my thought was maybe that I'm returning the list of events here, assigning them somewhere, and then this would clear out the very same list. But that doesn't appear to be what's happening. Right. 60. Well, that's weird. Because that's line 60 that's blowing up. And line 60 does not have anything to do with what we're doing. Oh no. That's annoying. Right, 130. Oh well, let's debug it and see what happens. Let's set breakpoint here. Check what these actually do. Right. Okay, so no builder. Have an aggregate path, which is fine, we don't particularly care about that. Ah. Doing that. Right. In fact, can we get away with not doing that at all? I think so. The downside is that will throw a file not found exception. So, if file system.file exists aggregate path, then do all of this lot. I think some refactoring is going to be required here because it's becoming less pleasant. Otherwise, enumerable empty event. I need an await on that. Yeah, this definitely needs refactoring. But we shall just make the test pass for now. Better. Right, I suppose we should actually run all of these tests because we have just changed how the load works, and we have other tests that cover the load, so I want to make sure that I haven't broken any of the others. Which we haven't. Right, so let's commit those. Oh, go away. So what's this? File system storage. Implement loading from pending session events. Right. And what's our next test? Once I've got all the tests passing, then I will come back and refactor all of this. So we did that one. We have here, when loading an aggregate existing in store and saved in the current session. Save, commit, save some more changes, commit again. Or don't commit. We should get the total of those changes. Yeah, that makes sense. Just don't want to put it there. So yeah, we've got two sets of refactoring to do once we've got all these tests passing. The first one is to refactor our file system storage, and the second one is to refactor the tests because they're becoming very identical. To the point where I can just paste the test in and then run, and it should just work. We have a quite nice set of methods down the bottom here for writing and reading events. So I think if I put those into the in-memory version, and then we should be able to extract a base class that covers both sets of tests. See, I didn't even have to do any work for that test to work, it just worked. Right, so let's take this. When there are pending events and dispose, it's called. Yeah, this one's going to look at the actual event backing event store, so this one will need changes. And dispose is equivalent of calling commit. So we now say read events. Take any parameters? I can't remember. Toggle ID. Yep, can do that. Get an enum of type spec, so this should be, and we care about the order of these because events have to be applied in order. What is your problem? Oh wait. Really don't like that I have to wrap brackets around everything to make awaits work. Unless I didn't on other ones. Yeah, no wrapping of brackets, but I did put other extra variable in. Yeah, let's do that. That's a bit nicer than having brackets everywhere. This isn't closure. Alright, so that should work as well. Or should it? I'm not sure I've actually aliased or made dispose call anything. So this might actually fail. Yep, haven't actually done a call to commit in here. I don't think there was any logic in it. I'll rerun the test. Let's have a quick look at the memory session one. I suppose does. Doesn't bother calling commit if there aren't any pending events. Bit of an optimization, doesn't need to be done, I don't think. Because that'll just iterate for nothing. Projections. Yeah, we haven't got to projection tests yet. Right, so back to memory tests. What did we just copy over? No, blast. When there are pending events. Hey, you passed now. Don't show me that icon. Okay, Ryder just likes that icon. Right. When commit is called twice. Now hopefully this one will pass, and then when we get onto the projections below, those will start failing because we haven't got anything that actually deals with projections yet. Right. I clear it. This is testing, there's no more events added, but events equals 4 equals await events toggle ID. There should be 2 events before. Should be. I want to actually check the specific events, or I just want to check there's 2 of them. Decisions. Yeah, I'll just say there should be 2. And we call session commit and read the events again, and this time should still be 2. Ooh. Yes, and I know what's causing this to break. So cleverly, we write all our pending events, but we really should clear them out after we've written them somewhere. Cool. So that's all the event storage done. But it occurs to me, called this file system storage, but is this in fact a file system session? Right. File system session. Finish event storage testing. Right, so that's events sorted. Now we'll move on to. Yeah, let's move on to doing the projections. So let's have a look at our in-memory version. So we have a bunch of tests here for projections. So this is going to be our first one. So this will fail because, like I said, we don't have anything to check on projections yet. Stick that in there. Now apparently we need a projections collection. Beginning to think there's too many things up here. Oh well. What do we do with projections? Those get passed into the session. Well, that makes sense. Read only. And we're going to pass it in. Now let's do the same thing as we do here. The builder's projections event. Projections. Add parameter. Add the parameter in the wrong place. Let's remove the types of it. See, there were types there, and then it's nice and remove them for us. Good old rider. Right. What we actually want is still want the comma. List of projections called projections, which we shall store somewhere for something later. Right, that'll do that. Now, back down to our test. So we create a projection, which is the all toggles, create a toggle, save it, commit it. Then we look at what's in the projection and check that the projection is correct. Now this will fail. But I'm still going to run the test anyway. Right. Yeah, that's about what I expected to happen, because we don't do anything with projections yet. So let's go and have a look at the file system, the in-memory one. So when we call commit, we look at all of our pending events and loop through. In fact, we can copy these. Now I would extract a base class for these normally, because both the file system and the in-memory have got fairly similar implementations for a lot of things, but a lot of the other things don't. So when we actually implement a database storage, then it's going to have a completely different way of running projections, hopefully. So most of this as a base class wouldn't make sense. The other thing, the in-memory one is just storing the projections in a collection. We actually want to write them to disk. That's what we're doing here. But this test is only checking that we actually, where is the test gone? Yeah, it's only checking that the actual projection runs. So with luck, we will have a test that checks that it is written somewhere, maybe? We might not have a test for that. So look. And there's projection with multiple aggregates. When retrieving a projection which exists in the session, and it doesn't exist in the session. Yeah, we're going to need different tests for these, because these we definitely want to check that they get written out to disk. So not only should that be true, we want to assert that it was written. So I think as we've got to read events, we could probably have private async t projection which takes in a t projection. Projections don't have IDs, so it's fine. We'll do that. What is your fault? I suppose it has to be a task. There we go. Now we still need these JSON settings, and we've needed them quite often, so let's do this. Yeah. Private, static, read only. caps lock, read only. JSON serializer settings. JSON settings. And let's copy that and use those in here. Right. Now we need to think of what we're going to do with our projections, and I think just a prefix to the file name will be fine. So we'll say await file system. And we'll read the whole file because this is a single one projection per file is what I've decided. Let's do the path here. So var path equals path combine root. I think we use the type name for the projection to start with. Might want to support doing things like I don't know, an attribute for changing the name of projection if you or keeping the name the same when you rename the type. But for the time being, yeah, type of T projection name plus dot JSON. Yeah, I suppose those aren't really JSON files. They're lines of JSON, so yeah. Right, so now that we've got a file path, what does that? That returns a stream, I think. Yep. So we'll say using var stream equals that. Using is there an overload to just read all the file? Read all the lines of a file, but text. Maybe I'll add that. Var reader equals stream reader for the stream. And then we just say return JSON convert deserialize object and then reader.read to end async. Why not? Might as well. We're in an async method, so. Wait. And now we need the type. No, we don't. JSON set. And then that gets wrapped in T projection. Quite what I wanted to do. Control enter jumps you to the line. That's interesting. Right, so we've now got a way to read a projection. So in fact, let's not grab the in-memory, although we do want to check that the in-memory one is worked. I also want to check that what persisted to the disk worked. That await read projection toggles. From disk. Now, did I implement iComparable or iEquatable on toggle? Not toggle, an aggregate. That means I can't just compare them. So what I'll just say is select t.id should be view select no toggles t.id. Yeah, not entirely pleasant, but yeah, that'll do. Now this should now fail, even more so than it did before, because we're definitely not writing anything to disk. Right, so now we know that we should be writing something to disk, although I guess we kind of did before. So I'm going to cheat and copy that line because, well, we need it. So this is the aggregate path. Aggregate path. I think the easiest thing to do would be to make that so. And we'll say var path equals, let's not call it path, let's say projection path. Now we have underscore root here. Rather than type of projection, we actually have the projection, so we can do get type on it instead. Still with the JSON, and then we say await. Is it file system? Oh, async method. Really need to fix that. Now we don't want to append to the file, we want to completely overwrite it. So write file. Projection path. Stream. Dot wait, because we're not async it. So here we want to just say way to do that, can you serialize straight to a stream? Oh well. Using writer equals stream writer for this stream. Oh, I don't need that. So writer write. Yeah. No point doing the async one until we've got an async method to actually stick in there. So JSON convert serialize object, and it's the projection, and we want to use the settings. Return task completed. Yeah. let's do this as well. I don't like leaving handles to files open for very long if I can avoid it, so we'll call that projection JSON and actually put like that. So now we've already got the serialized value at this point. Yeah, that'll do. So go back to our tests. With luck, we should now have a working test. Because we're at least consuming the event, and then we are writing it, so reading it from disk should work. Maybe. I assume people can see this stream, because on my other PC, which is showing me this, I am just getting repeated advertisements for Geostorm film. And I have no idea how to switch those off. I don't think it's a setting I can control. No, I have no idea. Oh, did that fail? Right. Didn't get anything back when we read it from disk. Or at least not what we expected. Now, is that because this has no way of being serialized? It doesn't. Because this is just public. I mean, you can write it to disk, you just can't read it back. Projection itself has everything nice. I'm thinking that I'll use the memento pattern here. If I make it generic, then use a non-generic. No, because I don't want to make it generic because I have collections of projections, and having generic things in those is annoying. Less. Yeah, we need to make this so that we can actually serialize projections. So let's just commit these test changes. This is to do with file systems, and we're about to not do stuff to do with file systems. System test session implement projection saving. Technically, projection saving works, just we can't read them yet. So we want to be able to run this method. That is the only method we care about when we have a list of projections at the moment. So what I'm going to do is extract interface, the eye projection, place it beside this for now. It's only going to have that on it. Now if we go to our file system, our list of projection, wherever it's gone, there can now become a list of eye projection. And we shouldn't have lost anything in the process. Yeah, we haven't. So now let's go to our in-memory session, do the same thing for this. And run that. Hopefully it'll still build, maybe not. That's interesting. I thought that would been able to handle the fact that, oh well, is that covariance or contravariance? I can never remember which one it is. Either way. Do we need a full projection here? No, we can get away with just an eye projection. Because again, we don't actually care about the content of it. Other than eye storage interface is now wrong. Refactor all the things. Right, so now the other storage should be broken. Oh no, I haven't implemented another storage yet. What is your problem? Oh, okay. An eye projection. There it is. Why do I need an image? Same for that one. And good, good. So what did we do here? We just extracted an interface. So get TM projections, extract eye projection interface. Right, so now we can go back to projection and we can make this generic. T memento. So the memento pattern is one that you should think about using the second you're going to serialize anything, because at the moment our serialization is tied to what a projection looks like. But what if I decide that, like our all toggles projection, what if I suddenly decide that this shouldn't be a dictionary or shouldn't be an enumerable we're exposing, we should be exposing something else? Now serialization will break. So the memento pattern lets us get around this. So we're going to have, let's see how we want to do this. Protected, abstract, T memento, create memento, and then we also have a protected, abstract, void, apply, so that takes in a T memento. Right. So we have some projections that should now be blowing up. Yes. So not only should our projections blow up, we also need some methods on this. So we're going to want object create. Now do I want to call it that? And let's call it to so and void from memento object. Now the reason we're making these non-generic is because this is on our interface, which doesn't have generic parameters. And all of these are going to do is call the internal methods, these abstract ones, with some casting. So that one's nice and easy. Say T memento. Nope, don't even need to do that. Just say create memento. From memento, just need to do a cast and call the other one. So apply memento. think that's all we'll need. We might need something else to expose the type object on here. Right. Now we've done that, we should have a nice lot of compilation errors. Let's fix the all toggles one. So this is our first projection. So here we're going to have a public class all toggles memento with nothing in it to start with. All toggles memento. And then let's implement the missing members, which is these two. So here we can just say return new all toggles memento, and what we're going to return is not this public enumerable, we're going to return the dictionary. And as we're only storing toggles in here, we can actually make our memento inherit this. So we'll return a new one of those, and this should, we'll need a blank constructor, and we want access to the other constructor. I think base should have one that takes in another dictionary. My dictionary, toggle ID, toggle. So we just need those two constructors. So now here we can just pass in toggles like that. And when we apply the memento, toggles, the field is already built. So all we need to do is fill it. And Aaron, I am building an event-sourced RESTful feature toggling service for no apparent reason, other than I feel like it and I might use it at work later, maybe. And I'm rolling everything by hand because that's fun. And yeah. So yeah, as we've got all of that, all we can just do here is just say for each. Well, thank you for not suggesting anything. Memento for each. Better. And we'll just say underscore toggles dot. Oh, let's do add. Add key dot value. And that's it. Now, I'm not sure if I had any other projections. Oh, we've got a few. These will all be broken as well. What does this one do? A logging projection. And it's never used? Well, it's got some tests for it, but it's never actually registered anywhere. Oh well, we'll implement a storage for it anyway. So this is just a list of things. So what we can do for this is say logging projection memento. Actually, did I call that one? All toggles memento. So I haven't got the word projection on it. Oh, no, that did the class name. Oh well. Let's take that. Public class that. And we're going to cheat on this as well and use a list. Could use the log entry. Yeah, why not? Not sure if I want to or not. It's better than having key value. So the other thing I was going to do was use the key value pair. Yeah, let's use log entry. So now we can implement our missing methods on this. And to create one, we'll just return new logging memento. The reason I want both constructors available, can I just do that off the bat? Is because the serializer needs to be able to create instances, and I don't want to force particular usages of serializers. I mean, someone could implement a storage engine with this that, I don't know, uses XML for reasons. So I don't want to force them to be able to do everything JSON.NET can do. Others. Base. Just pass others straight in. Yes. Right. So now we can create one based on the existing, and then this is even easier than last time. Just we're actually exposing as a list. I wouldn't do that. Right. Just say messages to add range memento. And normally you end up with a bit more of a complicated memento. So if we wrote a memento for the actual toggle itself, that's going to have a lot more information in it, like IDs and states and things. But all we're having to do here is store some lists. So nice and easy. Right, now we've got all of these to fix. Load projection, we're using the type, but again, don't actually need that, we just need an eye projection here, because, yeah, your problem. Ah yes, the interface needs to change. Right, save, load projection, yep. What else do we have here? That's now changed, so that's there. Now for the in-memory one, we're not actually going to need to change anything. It's only the file system ones that should or needs to use the mementos. And how the hell do I stop all these adverts appearing on my stream? Piss off, Twitch. I think I've seen about 10 minutes of my own stream on my other monitor because it's nothing but adverts. That blasted Geo Strike film or whatever it's called. Do I even need to do that? Can I just inherit that? Because then I won't have all of the events going through properly. Oh well. So projection of... It doesn't really matter. Just do that. Create a type called memento. It's not going to do anything. Implement the missing members. I suppose I could make them not abstract now that I fixed the actual ones. Actually, what file are we in? Can I even tell what file I'm in from this? Projection test. Oh well. Turn new memento. Do nothing. I'm going to use the same one on this. It's more to get it to compile than to provide any particular value, so turn new memento. Do nothing. Probably should run all of the tests now that I've gone around and messed up everything. Alright, so let's run all the tests. See how many of them I've broken. One. Ah, that's the one that we haven't fixed yet because there wasn't mementos in place. That will be fixed shortly. Oh, excellent. We haven't broken anything new, really. So let's add all of these. Help if I even actually hit the dot. Diff what we've done. Right, so git commit projections. Make use of memento pattern for serialization. What a horribly long word that is. Should technically be spelt with an S as well, not a Z, because I'm not American. But hey. Right. So, our file system session. Somewhere we have something that wants to save projections. This definitely needs refactoring. Anyway, I've said that quite a few times now. So rather than serializing the projection now, instead we serialize projection to memento. And then, in our file system session tests, scroll down to the bottom, we're reading something. We don't actually care what in our case. So rather than reading all toggles, I'm actually going to read all toggles memento. And then I'm going to say new, say var disk projection equals new toggles disk projection dot from memento. And would you believe it? This is going to go into that. And then we'll just rename that as well. And that's essentially what we're going to do when we implement loading of projections in the next test, which will also fail. So now our projections are still, they're strongly typed for the people creating mementos and then reapplying them to their own projections. And we don't have to worry about projections having a generic parameter on them for our lists of things. Right, now we're on to more interesting errors. Cannot find file. Huh, yes, I suppose. I'm using the projection type here. Well, because I'm reading memento. I wonder. Yeah, let's see if this will work. So instead of doing that, let's do this. Take that and put it in here. Let's get rid of that and do new all toggles here. Get rid of that. Now down here we say T projection. So we're not going to cast it to that because that's not what it is. Var memento. And then instead we should say projection from . if we add a type parameter on here where T projection is an I projection from memento, and it just takes an object in, which then does the casting internally for us. I wonder if this will work or explode spectacularly. One way to find out. Everyone likes explosions. Well, it's not the explosion I was hoping for, it has to be said. Not all code paths return a value. Well, no, I suppose they don't. Return projection. Now, I could just change this to be async and not return anything and effectively rely on referential integrity doing that bit for us. But it reads a bit nicer if we turn the thing out of it. Fingers crossed. Maybe it will work. Nope. Could not convert string to dictionary type toggle ID. Yeah, I suppose that makes sense. I thought I implemented a serializer on those. I did. Well, that's weird. I implemented a serializer. Why is it not? Definitely supports reading and writing. Well, let's do this then. Delete that. Oh, look, another advert. I was pretty certain that serializer would have been picked up. But oh well, let's have a look. Debug. Right. Let's see what JSON we've got. Oh, nice. Oh well. Sure if I've got an add-on or if there's anything to format JSON on this. I don't even know how to switch language. Language mode. Pretty. JSON. Oh. Right. Type is memento. GUID is toggle view ID. Well, that looks fine. that was an exception. It decided not to catch and show me then. Let's have a look at the stack trace in here. Could not convert string that to dictionary key. Or which one it is. Or is it because it's a generic type parameter of a dictionary? Let's have a quick look. JSON soft JSON custom serialize JSON converter generic parameter. I suspect it's because it's the dictionary. Well, I mean, the easiest way to fix it is to make the memento a dictionary of strings instead. Or attach a serializer to the dictionary. Let's try that. JSON.net. Specify converter for dictionary keys. Anyways, to make a converter for the whole dictionary. I didn't want to do that. Yeah, re-implement dictionary. Doing that. Yeah, we'll just use strings then. It's the easiest way to get around that. So if we go down to our all toggles projection and to our memento, just do that. So here we now say, yeah, I've got to do it. Oh well, to dictionary pair key, not to string pair dot value. And here we can take the string and say toggle ID dot parse. That needs to be a GUID, right? GUID dot parse. That's a little bit horrible. Oh well. I shall muddle through. Right, let's try our test again. Last I hit rerun rather than run. That means I'm going to end up debugging it. See? I want to debug it. Because it should just work. Yay, it does. Yeah, good. Change dictionary key to string due to JSON.net. Ah, good, that bloody geo film again. Ridiculous. Right. Next test. In memory session tests, that was it. When there is a projection. There. Why do you not find anything? Case sensitive is on. Is a. I still think case sensitivity in programming languages is stupid. I'm all for case consistency, and the editor should be case aware, but I don't think they should be case sensitive. You know what, we don't need to test that bit, that's covered by something else. When retrieving a projection which exists in the session, I only really care about the disk ones, and when it doesn't exist. Come to think about it, we need to be able to load a projection. We've not actually tested that. Right. When retrieving a projection from disk. So we still need to register it into our collection. Then we call load. Let's put that in here. In fact, I think we shall commit some events to it as well, because I want to check that that loads successfully through this, because I know I can read it in the test environment, but I want to check that the other place can in the actual implementation. So we now say var projection equals session.load projection toggles. Projection.toggles should have single item ID should be toggle.id. That'll do. Right, that should fail, because I'm pretty sure there's a not implemented exception thrown from load projection. We can just go and have a look while that's spinning up. Yep, good. So let's do some loading. So var projection equals so projections dot first or default. Well, it should technically be single default, but or we can do of type T projection. Projection dot, yeah. So now we want to return it. And now we want to actually load the memento. Yeah, there's a lot of refactoring to be done here, because I'm about to copy and paste some more stuff. I'm gonna get the path for the projection. Yeah, it'll do. Put that above it, because why not? Okay, that's why not. And now we say file system read file. Oh, blast. Using our stream equals file system read file projection path. Stream reader would probably be a good idea. Using var reader equals new stream reader stream. What is your problem? Yeah, technically need an await there, but we haven't made this async yet, so I'm going to be bad people and use the result property. You shouldn't use that. Can block threads and cause deadlocks and horrible things. But as one of my next tasks on the to-do list is to make this whole API asynchronous, we'll deal with that later. So var JSON equals reader read to end. Var memento is JSON convert deserialize object JSON serializer settings, and then projection from memento. Now there is actually a bug here which I think this is about to demonstrate, and that is that our projection doesn't clear itself out before reapplying the memento. Yep, there's already that key in there. So this is a bug in the all toggles projection. I guess it is. What we should say before doing that is clear. Yeah. The other alternative is we refactor the storage to return a new instance of the projection each time we load it. And I don't really want to do that because that seems like creating more objects than necessary. So I'm not going to do that. I'm just going to clear out projections. Luckily, as these are all non-generic methods, I'll be able to write some generic tests to make sure that this works. I think. Right. Hit commit file system session implement projection loading. Push those up to GitHub. And I'm going to call it a night there. So I'm tired and I have a very early start tomorrow because it's, well, yeah, work is going to be fun tomorrow. Yeah, so if you've got any questions or comments about it, feel free to send me a message. I'm at Ponderdom on Twitter, and the source code is on GitHub, github.com/ponderdom/Crispin. Thanks for watching, and I hope you have a fun rest of your evening, and probably see you, maybe not tomorrow, as I have a late gym session, but if not, Thursday. Good night.